Hey, 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 welcome back to another episode of Tatt Chat. Brought to you by Working Class Tattoo Supply. Great place to get all your tattoo supplies. Good tattooer-owned company. All right, well, we are here with our second interview. This is our buddy Wichael. Why don't you introduce yourself and give me how many years you've been tattooing, where you tattoo, and yeah, we'll start there.
My name is Wichael. I've been tattooing for 13 years, August, and I work at Ascendant Tattoo in Rialto, California.
Awesome. Yeah, for people who don't know, that is in the original Empire Tattoo location in Rialto across from the teepees. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Pretty classic place. If you're from the Inland Empire, you're going to know that place.
Yep.
Lots of people got tatted. Lots of people got, lots of things happened to them there. So
a lot.
Yeah, a lot of
those
history.
Walls can talk.
Right? Absolutely. Yeah, you guys got a great spot. Yeah, so you've been tattooing for 12. Okay, so my first question really I like to ask people is, how did tattooing come into your life? Like, what's the first memory of tattooing?
So it's funny, I just actually had this conversation not too long ago. I was talking about my Uncle Vance, who was like an old rocker dude. And I remember seeing like my grandma on my dad's side. And I don't really remember her too much except for like a big plume of smoke. Okay. And I remember my uncle coming out of like the shower and he showed me he had a Van Halen tattoo on his hand. And I was just, and it's his name was Vance Hammond. So VH.
Sick.
And I was like, that's really fucking cool. I don't know what that is, but like, I just really liked it. And I told my dad about that recently. He said, well, your grandma died when you were 3. So I think it's my first memory is of like my grandma, smoke, tattoo, like all at the same time. So I think that is my first memory was over a tattoo.
Cool.
Yeah.
Did anybody else have tattoos, like family members or anything, or was that kind of the only one? I know they were more rare back in the day. Like it was less. Yeah. You didn't show them off, and not like today.
My dad had like a lion that was kind of pretty cool. But I remember when I was a little bit older, I had someone put a temporary tattoo Chicago Bulls logo on the side of my leg. And it didn't make sense to me, but I just fell in love with it instantly. And I remember thinking like, I want these all over my body. And I remember my mom telling me, you don't want all these, a lot of bad people have them. And I said, I want to be bad. Like that's it. And my mom worked for the garbage company in Big Bear. So I was always hanging out with the mechanics, and obviously they all looked a certain way. And I just already fell in love with that sort of vibe, very blue collar worker stuff. Yeah,
working class,
Yeah, I just really liked that. I didn't really care about anything else, just kind of like being a worker person, getting covered in tattoos, like from the get-go. It's all I really thought about at a young age.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. I think a lot of the, like your generation, like the slightly newer kids, not to, you know, I mean, you're it's like, true. I made a decade, but, you know, you guys had more influence. Like you got to see like, you know, tattoos, you know, it was, temporary tattoos were a thing. I mean,
going to the pizza shop with the Panthers and the tribal coming out.
Right.
Love that stuff.
Yeah, there was just more influence for you guys to be influenced by. So.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, tattooing didn't come to me until like, I mean, I remember seeing somebody with one, but it was quite a bit later. So that I really got into tattoos and the culture. And, yeah, but it's funny because I remember the first time I saw somebody with a gold tooth in a movie, like one of those old spaghetti westerns, you know, like Clint Eastwood. I was like, I want a gold tooth. That same thing. Oh, only bad people have them. I'm like, yes, I'm a bad person because I want a gold fucking tooth.
Yeah, now that Jonathan came out with his gold tooth, we all wanted the gold teeth.
Yeah. So like what style? How would you describe like what kind of tattoos you do for anybody out there who might be interested in wanting to get a tattoo from you?
I really enjoy doing American subject matter and a lot of Japanese subject matter, but I love doing anything with a strong black outline. I'll tattoo anything as long as it has that. I'm pretty happy. I'm not going to sit there and try to give you a bunch of craziness with it. Just as long as it could have what I know can hold good, I'm happy. And I know they're going to be happier for a long time than get it another way.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's why we hit it off when we first met, was just because I could tell you cared about the right things. You cared about tattooing. You cared about the history. I mean, you pulled out a cliff raise and acetate, and I was like, I love this kid. He's cool. Like,
oh, man, I love that thing, the dragon one.
Yeah, I think so rad. And I was like, oh, okay, because, I hear a lot of people from my generation, the 20 plus, the 30-year-old tattooers, all these fucking kids, wow, boo-hoo. It's been beat to death like a dead drum.
Yeah, of course.
But I was like, I always tell them, like after I'd met you and a few other people, I was like, man, there's some kids out there that actually give a shit, and it's our duty to take them and kind of help and show and teach and anything we can give, because it was given to us, and they said the same thing about us, man. Our mentors are, the generation that had been 20 years in, and we came up and we're all, I want to do Neo, and I want this to be wacky, and I want a freaking wing coming out of the ear hole, and
like the black t-shirts,
bendy, and exactly. I was maybe just a little after the black t-shirts started. I think the black t-shirts were like the 90s, like mid 90s.
Okay.
I was late 90s when I started my apprenticeship, 99. So, but yeah, still, it was that same attitude, and they just looked at us like, you fucking idiots, and I'm like, some of us ended up being all right, some of us ended up giving a shit, and, it's our turn now to hand it off. It's our turn to be like, hey, kid, here you go, it's your turn to grab the ball and run a yard.
Of course.
So, yeah, and you're one of the people that I always kind of like harken back to when I hear that, oh, these fucking kids, and I'm like, not all of them, dude, not all of them, which is part of the reason you're here today, being interviewed by me. So.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for giving a shit about tattooing, man. It's rare these days, We were just talking about it earlier during art night about, oh yeah, you're the one, but there's a fucking, landslide of people that got that person and asked them the same shit, and that's why they were upset, and
Yeah. I just don't get how you can't be a fan of this stuff. It's the coolest stuff, for sure.
It's pretty rad, man. It's pretty rad. I mean, it's as special as any kind of trade, I mean, you can... there's plumbers out there that are amazing, and they're artists, and they, they can do something no one else can do, and, it's like, they're just a plumber, and we're just a tattooer, and you'd be surprised how much you need a plumber more than you need a tattooer. But
of course.
Within our own little thing that we've created for ourselves, like the box we all put ourselves in as a tattooer, I feel like, tattooing's pretty fucking rad. It's a cool subculture. I mean, there's a reason they're putting it on everything at Walmart. Oh, you can get fucking curtains with tattoo designs on them now, and bed sheets with tattoo designs on them now, and what lotion, the tattooer's favorite lotion, and they got crappy tattoo designs on it, and you're just like, oh my god, it's everywhere now.
They got tat lotion now, huh?
Yeah. What was it? Lubriderm did a bottle, a limited run, and I'm pretty sure they caught a lot of shit for it, which is why it disappeared.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it had sparrows and they were terribly done too. It's like just steal Jerry shit, or I don't know.
That's
of course.
Awesome.
I'm sure they paid whoever paid the cheapest. $1? Will you design us a $1 bottle? Yeah, so
that's funny.
Anywho, but yeah, it is cool. It's a little sold out at this point, but everything cool happens. I mean, the scene, punk rock, got sold out, went mainstream, skateboarding, snowboarding, surfing, all these subcultures. It happens to all of them. Graffiti, now it's everywhere, and it's not better because it's everywhere.
Of course.
But. Yeah. But anyways, so you've always been one of the kids I've looked at and went, okay, cool. The future of tattooing is going to be all right. Like I'm less worried about it,
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
I hope I'm doing something right.
Yeah, you are, man. Well, I mean, you visited Ed Hardy's and we got tattooed there before it went out of business. And, I mean, you're doing it the right way. Like you care about the right things. You got tattooed by Charlie not too long ago. Like, you're taking the time to go learn and experience, and you went and got tattooed by Trevino, which is quite an experience from your story. Yeah, and not everybody's doing that. A lot of people just stay in their box, they want to be king of their little hill, and I'm good. I've been tattooed, because you're at that point now where like you can put in a really solid tattoo. Now you're the shit, right? Everybody tells you, oh, you're so good. And, your clients constantly every day are telling you,
Yeah. You should give back before you ever take.
Yeah, well, and that's why we've always gotten along, because you have that attitude. Yeah, and you had it young. You had it. I mean, how long had you been tattooing when I met you?
I think we met it was before COVID.
So yeah, it was like 2018?
2018.
17, 18, or 19. It was somewhere in that range.
I think it was like 17. You know, we were hanging out till like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, something like that.
Here we are again, almost doing that. Yeah.
Honestly, I think I was only tattooing like 4 years.
Yeah,
something like that. I think it might have been 4 or 5 years tops.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while. That's crazy. I can't believe we were friends over for 7 years. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how long the company's been in business, so yeah. Man. But yeah, no, it goes fast, doesn't it?
Tattooing is a time vortex. I've always said that. We just kind of get stuck in our bubble, and then before you know it.
Well, and that's why it's cool to get out of it and travel and see other things. But yeah, no, it definitely accelerates time. It's much like a kid. A tattoo career just kind of puts things on warp speed.
Yeah.
You turn around and you're like old, and you're like, oh, these kids, and you're like, why am I bitter every day? Like, oh shit, I became all those people I used to talk shit about when I was 2 years into tattooing and hated.
Yeah, I really feel like I just started at the location I am now, but this November will be 10 years of me at the same spot.
Right.
So, like, yeah, it just goes by so fast, and before you know it, you're starting to see gray hair, and, you know, just, you're starting to tattoo people's kids, and, you know, it's weird. It's a weird time, for sure.
Yeah, well, you're in that transitional, you know, you're in between decades, you know, you got one under your belt, and you're working on two, and
Yeah. That's weird. I still feel like I know absolutely zero about what I'm doing, and I just don't get how I get to do it every day.
Right? Yeah. It's like, you trust me to do this? They're like, oh yeah, you're great.
You sure?
You're like, okay.
Yeah, are you sure I'm the right? Okay, let's go.
Well, like you were saying earlier, imposter syndrome. It's common. It's popular. I feel like tattooers suffer greatly from it because you know, the people ahead of you that you look up to are like, oh, kid, you suck, you ain't shit, you need to work harder, you need to work on this, you need to work on that. And every client tells you, oh, you're the best, you're amazing, oh my God, the sun shines out of your asshole, like, I can't believe you can do this, and, you know. Yeah, and they put you on this pedestal. Mm-hmm. And, so it's kind of hard to balance the two. You kind of get caught in between two worlds, and you're, like, not sure who to believe.
I really don't like tattooers that listen to their clients and then believe their clients. Like, that really, really bugs me. And that's why I do my best to, like, send my designs off to, like, 4 or 5 people that I really love and respect who are going to give me real critique. Because I can just sit there and be like, oh, my client said I was dope. You know, like...
They always love it, don't they?
They always love it. But, like, I like being told what's wrong and what can be better. Because if I can impress these people, I can impress them.
Right.
You know,
your clients will really love it.
Yeah.
And they'll be better for wearing it.
Exactly.
Like long term. Once again, longevity. Not just the longevity of the construction of the design, like black lines, you know, all that stuff, but also the artwork part of it, you know, the other side of it that you kind of have to get right.
Yeah.
Right.
I've tried not to listen to my clients. I'm very appreciative of my clients.
Well, of course. You kind of have to a little bit.
Of
course.
You
know, I want this. Okay, well, I think this would be better. But
exactly.
Let's compromise, right? Yeah.
But that whole, like, oh, this is dope, this is beautiful, this is everything. And I'm like, I'm glad you feel that way, but I can't let that even get into my head. Because if I let that sit in there, then I'm not going to apply myself as hard for the next one.
Right.
Yeah, so, like, that imposter syndrome that you said I kind of suffer from, I feel like has made me work harder and improve on a higher level.
It can, yeah. It does one of two things. It either kind of crushes people or it drives them. It becomes the fuel.
Oh, yeah.
You know, of wanting to get better, being obsessed, I guess.
It's both.
It's obsession, yeah.
Yeah, it crushes me quite a bit. My poor wife
deals
with all of it, for sure.
Well, and that's the thing, too. That would be a good subject to touch on, too, because, you know... that's an unspoken thing in the tattoo world is I mean, let's be honest, we've all seen tattooing ruin. You need a freaking quantum computer to count how many relationships it's absolutely destroyed. Absolutely. You know, good ones too, you know, at least that started good, you know, but just tattooing, you know, like I used to joke I'm married to the game and, you know, married to my wife and, you know, we kind of split time and, you know, whatever, obviously joking, but it does feel like that at a certain point in time. You know, and I know your wife's extremely supportive.
Yes.
You know, I mean, we used to hang out till 3, 4 in the morning. You know, most people are like, what the fuck is, you know?
Oh, yeah. Well, she also gets heavily tattooed herself. You know, she's always cared about body modification as a whole. So, the big thing for us is when I started in this, we were planning our wedding. So, you know, getting calls being like, where are you? And I'm like, it's 5:00 in the morning, you know, and like I have to take some people to bars after because social media wasn't quite a thing yet.
Yep.
You know, like, you know, she planned our whole wedding by herself. You know, I have this very strong woman in my corner for sure. Right. That's looking after me.
Yeah, no, you're lucky.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got good taste, and, you know, obviously she's got good taste too, and you guys...
Yeah.
I mean, there's a little bit of luck.
We got a good thing going. I remember one time she was feeling kind of questionable one day, and she said, I wonder what you would pick, either me or tattoo. Never mind. I don't want to know.
You don't want the answer to that question.
And, you know, like...
some doors.
Well, she doesn't... I just don't want to choose.
No,
either.
I want both.
I want both.
Right. Obviously, I love you to death, and know, right. You got married to a person for a reason. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, obviously, I know you're a very committed person, so I know you're like, no, divorce is not an option.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, like we're together forever, right? We'll figure it out. We'll make it work. We'll, you know, I know how, like your personality. You're very
big fan of monogamy. Yep. Big fan of all of that, and my wife's the same way.
Yeah.
If we fight, we see the whole fight through. We don't believe in letting it, you know, fester throughout the night. So
we
argue until it's over and we get it right, and we barely have the argument more than twice.
Right. Okay.
But the one thing is that's always been the problem. It's, you know, the drawing too late or staying up too late for sure. But
it's a late kind of career, you know. I mean, like. Yeah, I mean, my kid has an off schedule. Everybody's like, oh, your kid's still asleep? I'm like, yeah, she gets to see daddy when daddy comes home at 2 a.m. or midnight or whatever time it, you know, like, yeah, she's living a pirate's life already because that's the only way to have my family involved in it, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's the sacrifice you have to make, you know.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of people, I see it, you know, it ruins. You know, they're just not willing to either make that sacrifice or they don't understand how to, like, kind of rearrange their life or they can't rearrange their life. And,
yeah,
they burn out.
They burn out pretty hard or they, you know, their schedule changes pretty heavily.
Yeah.
Well,
because most of the women in our lives have to have real jobs. You know, like we get to play Peter Pan and they've got to play 9 to 5 and you're like, fuck. You know, like,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's tough, you know.
Yeah, it's so hard to talk to her, you know, when she actually goes and does, like, because she's an esthetician, she waxes all day, and I'm like, oh, I drew a snake all day. Like, it's
not the same thing.
It's not the same thing, but she's like, no, that's hard work, and she understands that there's a lot that goes into it.
That's why it works.
That's why it works, and
that's good.
Extremely lucky, and I understand a lot of our people in our world don't have that.
Well, and let it be a warning to all you tattooers out there. If you're young and you're just getting started in the game, you're going to have to find somebody that's, you know, as the kids say now, a ride or die, right? They always talk about that. But, when the rubber hits the road, there's real ride or dies. And then there's, you know, like, it sounds cool on Instagram. You know, it looks good on a poster, a T-shirt. But, you need a real one to make it through. And it's tough. It's tough. It's a constant act of balancing time and attention and, you know, because your work needs time and attention, especially when you're in like your phase, the growing phase, where you're still building your skills, you're building your portfolio, you're starting to look at legacy and go, okay, cool, I want to start doing bigger things, or I want to start being this person, I want to be known, I want to specialize now that I kind of know how to do everything generally. So you know, it's still, no matter how far into it, it really requires most of you.
Yes,
you
very
know,
much so.
And a relationship requires the same thing. So
definitely it does.
Yeah, to be healthy anyway. So it's a balancing act for sure.
Of course, and it's a hard one to keep going because it's easy to fall.
Yeah, well, it's easy to get stuck. Oh, my clients think I'm great, and you know, for sure. Well, that's the other thing too. You know, I mean, we tattoo a lot of women as tattooers, so you need a strong woman who's very secure in herself and secure in your relationship, and it's hard to find.
You know, and I'm not a big fan of what we've seen a lot of tattooers do.
Yep.
So that's why I always, you know, when a chick comes in, I give them like knuckles. I call them dude, call them bro.
We were talking about that earlier. Yep. Yeah. No, it's a good thing.
Exactly.
Because it can be misconstrued pretty quickly. I mean, customers definitely can catch feelings for tattooers. It's an intimate thing we do.
Yeah.
You know, you change their life forever because you're changing how they look forever, and
And if it's happened, it's went right over my head.
So that's good.
I haven't noticed at all. Like, it's pretty funny. My wife gets upset about stuff that happens in real life, and I'm like, I thought they were just refilling my drink. I thought I was just going to, like, you know.
Right, yeah.
I'm like, I didn't see any of that. You know, I kind of just go through life thinking that no one's would ever think
no one's
that.
into me. Yeah.
No, absolutely not. No.
I'm married. I told him I'm fucking married, right? Like, yeah, you know,
it's
like
fine.
multiple times. Like, hey, this is my wife. Here's a picture. You know.
Yeah, she's in my booth. You know,
right?
we're tattooing a rose on you. We're like, I'm so focused in on that. I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess another question would be coils, rotaries, both, and why?
All of them. Everything. I like everything under the sun.
Okay.
And I've just, you know, it's like we were talking about, like, with me getting involved with some really good tattooers a couple years ago that I really looked up to. One of them really being into coils their entire career. And then I walked into their booth, and then I saw them using wands. And
oh no, you said the W word.
And I didn't know what to do. And they told me these were the best machines that they ever used. And, you know, like...
Best is debatable, but they definitely make things easier. I get why people use them.
Yeah.
It's just, it's fast, it's convenient, and it's always the same.
Yeah.
If you're not really machine inclined, it's easy because it needs no adjustments.
Absolutely.
Ever.
You know.
Until it dies and you need to get a new one.
Exactly. So, it is an iPhone. It is an iPhone. You want a Tesla, you want, you know, a hot rod. You know, it depends on what you really want. I love the feel of a hot rod. I will always line with a coil. Love coils.
They still line the best. I love how every company's like, oh, lines just like a coil, has jibs like a coil. I'm like, no, it doesn't.
Let's just use a coil then. You know, have it be a wand. You know, like, and that's fine. But when I flew out to Chicago to get tattooed by Nick Colella, you know, who we all agree is a very trad tattooer, understands his roots really well.
Yeah.
And he's got, you know, a wand out, and he has the new Numa out. He's using cartridges. He's using everything under the sun.
Yeah, well, I mean, like Mike Chambers loves Numa.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, everyone, you know, is really, it just really depends on what you're going for. And I'd like to believe that everyone who says coil to the soil or not, I think that a lot of our forefathers would be using a lot of that stuff if it was available.
I've always brought that up that Jerry was always kind of on the cutting edge of things. Exactly. I think he would have designed a really cool one that worked better than anybody else's, and he'd have been all about it. But here's the thing. Here's like, so my only real issue is very similar to like Oliver's, not to name drop, but you know, he's a very vocal person against the wand.
Of course.
And his reason is basically because it does nothing for tattooing. It's, you know, the ones that people are buying are not from tattooers. So for all your kids out there are two tattooers who make wands that are awesome. There's a Numa from Carson Hill, and then there is the Sharp pen from Emerson, who worked under Gil Monty. And they are getting the money from the sales of their machines. Everybody else, nothing to do with tattooing. It's all corporate owned. It's all owned by one ginormous corporation now that's just fucking tattooing over. Yeah. So, as Too Short said, spend your money in the ghetto.
Absolutely. Like, I use a Burt Crack every day to line with. And that thing is my favorite thing I have.
A weed whacker?
Sure. It does everything perfect. I love that thing to death.
Nice. Well, that's the thing. Like, all the old builders, it used to be like support builders, right? You know, the whole thing, and I don't know if you were taught this, but which we're going to get into your apprenticeship and who you learned from and all that here in a second.
Yeah.
But I was always taught that you give back to tattooing by buying prints, shirts, hats, stickers, you know, yada, yada, yada. So if somebody makes machines and they're good, buy their machines, support tattooing, keep the money flowing in the economy. You know, it's like a self-sustaining economy of tattooers, you know?
Oh, yeah. And I definitely did that for a very long time.
Right.
You know?
Well, I mean, like I said, you had an acetate of, you know, Cliff Ravens. That's a pretty cool thing for somebody at that age. Even 5 years into tattooing? Like, you already had an acetate. Like, most kids don't even know how to spell it that many years into tattooing, let alone have one.
I think my first one's from Tony Polito. Like, I was able to get that, I don't know if you know, when he kind of of was starting to get to the end of his life.
I remember.
They were selling the bricks.
Bricks, yes.
I have the brick, and it came with 2 acetates. Cool. That peacock sheet that he did.
Okay.
It all kind of came together, and it came with like a wax note with like, signed by Tony B.
Oh,
and,
sick.
It has like a dome that says "Behind Bulletproof Glass." It's incredible. So that was my first one that really got me excited.
That's super cool.
Yeah, that was my first one and got me excited. And then
and that's why I've always liked you. That's why I've always been like, that kid is going places.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Then getting my first real acetate done by Julius Vargas, like
fucking Uncle Jay. For those who don't know,
like I haven't seen him in a while, but that guy's done more for my career than I can ever give any more credit. I probably pretty much give him probably the most credit. I probably learned more from him than I did in my apprenticeship.
Yeah. Well, for those who don't know, there's a godfather of the Inland Empire here in Southern California, and that's Sean Warcott. And I would say the uncles are Julius and Brent Van. Mm-hmm. And they really kind of, the two of them really helped continue what Sean established as far as tattoo culture out here and just the amazing level to which tattooing has gotten and risen in this area. And the amount of amazing tattooers, whether they're on Ink Master or not, there's been some really amazing tattooers. Some you know, some you don't. But yeah, those are the people. And Julius is definitely in high regard. If you mention his name in any circle, people are like, oh, that guy. Yeah, I like that guy. He's cool. He's a good person.
He's a good dude.
He's a rad tattooer, and he's a real one.
He's a real tattooer, one of my favorite tattooers of all time.
Yep.
Like, just period in general. Yeah. Everyone should get a tattoo by him.
Yep.
Go visit
Paragon Tattoo. Yep. Moval.
Hell yeah. He's a good dude. Done more for me. I'm very thankful for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's just segue right on into the apprenticeship then. Yeah. So who did you apprentice under? Where? When? How? I mean, I'm sure there's I know the story, so I'll let you tell it.
So pretty much I apprenticed in Palm Springs at a place called Anarchy and Ink, and there was someone there named Change. He was a very good tattooer, very good dude. He no longer tattoos there, and pretty much everyone at that shop doesn't tattoo there no more. Everyone's kind of moved on.
Right. At
least everyone for me, there was 2 locations.
Okay.
But so the one location got shut down, and all the guys that were there went there. Then you know how tattooers work.
Oh yeah, gypsies.
They all just kind of move around and stuff like that. I believe he's now over in Oregon now.
Oh, okay.
I think he is in Portland. I think that's where he's at now. We haven't talked in a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So when did you start your apprenticeship? Like, how old were you?
I think I was 19.
Okay.
I was 19 years old. That's when we were planning our wedding and stuff like that.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we wanted to get. She was 18. It was.
So life was chaos. You're an apprentice. You're planning a wedding, or trying to be involved at least.
Yeah, it was a really rough time. Like, the apprenticeship is exactly how you think it would go.
Well, let's spell it out for the people who don't know, or the people who think they should get paid for their apprenticeship, or
it was chaos.
Yeah.
It was absolute chaos. Getting food. But the big thing that was different, besides the cleaning, the tubes, and all of that, which we're all really familiar with, it was the part after. Social media wasn't that prominent yet.
Right.
So the guy who owned the shop would pay for their first drinks at a bar. So we go to bars after. Like, we go to the Ace Hotel and stuff like that. And they found out that, I didn't drink. I didn't do drugs. And so they were like, designated driver, let's go.
Every time, yep.
And my Change didn't have a car. So, and he would always take a cab.
Okay.
And I didn't, like him taking a cab while I was there. So I made sure he got home every night. At least, when he'd let me, and stuff like that those nights. Yeah. But, texting your lady, like, what time are you going to be home? And, there's music playing and, it's pretty late. So that was the really different part for sure, was that. And
so you're more involved on the personal side of things, like, of life.
Yeah. And my wife suffers from a pretty bad medical blood disorder, and so we were fighting that pretty hard all at the same time. And you can't bring that into the shop always, because you're the one that's getting yelled at.
Oh yeah.
If the window's not wiped right, or I remember people screaming at me on the phone, I just put it on mute and they'd be like, oh, yes, sir, you know, and just move on, you know, whatever I'm trying to do, trying to, you know, water the plant that was my marriage at the same time, a lot of stuff like that. But yeah, the first time that it really sunk in for her is when we were there until like 4 a.m. and we had one car. You know, she's like asleep on the couch in the front. And, you know, we're in Palm Springs, you know, where things are happening, you know, and this old dude comes in, you know, with a beer in his hand, and he was like, how much for a lizard on my arm? And, you know, this guy's been tattooing since like 12 the day before.
Yeah.
And he's like, you couldn't pay me an amount to tattoo you right now. And so pretty much he said, how's $100? No, $200. Then it got up until like, I think it was like $600. And then he was like, you speak in my language now. And then I just
There's always a price.
Ripping the plastic down, putting it down, and, you know, getting everything ready for him. And I'm just like, we're never going home. I should just stay here. Yeah, that was the moment, you know, my wife was like, okay.
Right.
This is what this
is real. Yeah.
You know, yeah.
This is what it takes. Yeah.
This is what it takes. Exactly. And, you know, I was already, you know, getting pretty heavily tattooed at the time, you know, at that shop, at different shops and stuff like that. And, you know, and, you know, I was already getting tattooed by Ty quite a bit. And, you know, I don't think that guy understands, like, that guy put so many pillars into my career that, you know, he doesn't care, you know, it's fine.
Yeah, you're just another person on the journey.
Exactly. But like seeing the way he meticulously went through work every day and talked about tattooing, you know, had such a big influence on the way I went about things, and, you know, just really was like, holy shit, like this guy's on some other level.
Right.
Like, and I really fell in love with that kind
of. Well, it shows. It shows in the work, you know. The people who become, obsessed is the best word for it in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, they just become obsessed with the process, the creation, the furthering of their skills, their ability, their knowledge. Yeah. Like, they just become obsessed with it. And people reciprocate, you know. You start getting, you know, whatever back in the day was exposure in magazines. Now it's Instagram likes. Now it's TikTok likes, or I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, of course.
I'm getting old. I'm still on Instagram and Facebook only. So and now I'm on YouTube.
I'm just on Instagram.
Yep. Yeah. So, but you know, like it starts paying dividends, and I think it becomes addicting. You get that little dopamine hit of, like, say your favorite tattooer or somebody you really admire going, oh, that's cool. You're kind of onto something with that one, and you're like,
my gosh, that just would go to cloud 9 instantly. You know?
And then you just dig deeper. And harder and faster, and you're like, oh my god, you know, because like you're getting led into that exclusive club. Yeah, you know, there's the club of tattooing that's like your peers. I hate using that word because I don't feel like anybody's my peer. Like, there's just, you know, different things. You know, these kids nowadays wear work boots but have never worked a real day in their life. They never a real job. Yeah, exactly, all that. You know, so I've never really felt like any of these people are on my level. There's a few. You know, there's people like a Brian Foster, who's just this absolute savage of a human, who's an amazing artist. He's done all these other things in life. I mean, he's just like the pinnacle of what a human can do and be. Yeah. You know, I'm like, okay, cool. I look up to that guy. You know, and stuff like that. Different people like that. You know, there's interesting people in tattooing, like a Julius, who's just obsessed with tattooing and has this amazing collection and knowledge and experiences and, you know, and stuff like that, and Warcots, you know. But the kids my age, I never felt like we were peers. But so there's that group. But then there's the group above you. You know, there's that decade ahead of you that's been doing it, and it's like, oh man, you know, they're setting that pace. You know, like when I was coming up, it was Capiobalco and Litwalk, and these guys were changing everything in New School, and holy shit, this is crazy. And you know, and if you could ever get any love out of them, you know, like for something you were doing, oh my god, you know, it's like it's like, okay, I'm taking the steps to getting into that next peer group or in that next group of people. You know, and I think that's addicting to a lot of tattooers, because I think a lot of tattooers don't have a lot of skills other than, like, they can kind of draw okay, or, you know, even there's plenty of craftsmen, let's just be honest. There's people who can't draw for shit, can tattoo technically amazing. Of course. And then there's the people who are artists, and you're one of those. You're the artist. You're the, like, look what I can do. I'm special because I can draw well.
Oh, I don't consider myself an artist at all.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I consider myself just a tattooer. at the end of the day, and like I'm just
you're an artist.
Oh well, thank you.
In my estimation of an artist, you're an artist.
Thank you.
But I feel like
that.
maybe I'm projecting a little bit of that. But like, so my thing was like I could draw, and like that was the only thing I was really good at that could get any attention. And I feel like a lot of the people like the people that just get obsessed with tattooing and just take it far, you know. That's just it. Like that's all they're looking for. They're looking for that next kind of dopamine hit. That next, oh man, look at how awesome! Oh, that's cool. I really like that. And that's what they live on. That's almost like a food knowledge. To them. Yeah, absolutely. Well, just acquiring the knowledge and then putting it to work. Yeah.
That's like the biggest problem why I barely post now. It's because I'm always on the quest for so much knowledge that like I'll work super hard on this tattoo, and I'm like, all right, cool. I'll use that lesson for the next tattoo.
Right.
And not knowing there's a lesson in that one to learn. And I'm like, and you just start feeling so shitty about what you did the day before and the day before. And
it's never good enough, right?
It's never good enough. Exactly.
Yeah. I think that's an artist trait.
It might be.
I think so.
Yeah. I have a hard time with the word artist personally. But like I've always really just loved
creative. A craftsman,
technician, you know.
Yeah, you're always looking to do it better.
Yeah, I'm always looking to do it better, and I just see it like, you know, the same way that we all know it. You know, like you were saying earlier about being a plumber. Like that's how I see kind of being a tattooer. Like I wasn't born knowing how to draw.
Well, no one was.
Yeah, I mean there's definitely some people who like could pick it up pretty fast.
People are inclined to it, for sure. But let's be honest, hard work trumps talent every time.
Yes, and I think that's one thing that I believe I do have is I know how to work harder than a lot of people in the room.
Yep.
But I like being surrounded by people who work harder than me. You know, like that's
iron sharpens iron, right? You know.
Yeah.
It's hard to be the only person in a shop that paints flash. I get that.
Yeah. Yes, very much so.
But here's the thing, like, unless you're obsessed and you have no kids and you do nothing but tattoo stuff all day.
Yeah.
When you know, I've always kind of joked to people, oh yeah, that shop paints a lot of flash. And I'm like, yeah, because they're not fucking busy.
Oh.
If you tattoo all day, every day, and you're always busy, you don't have time to paint a lot of flash, especially if you got kids and a family and, you know, a lot of things going on. Maybe you're a shop owner. You know, I've heard the complaint, oh, you know, Spike, you don't paint a lot of flash. And I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking busy, dude.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, you have a lot going on.
Yeah. I made a lot of artwork when I had no time.
The reason
to you know, spend on anything but tattooing, you know, like now I my time has got to be, you know, separated. So
absolutely.
So how do you find and make the time to do art? Because you put a lot out. I mean, what was it last year when you did the painting every day?
I did
or every week.
111 by 14 once a week, and none of them could be for any of my tattoo appointments coming up. I just needed to really push it out every single time. You know, just every week. It could be from 3 to 5 images, like we all kind of know. Mm-hmm. And I did that, and that was rough. That was really rough. You know, just every waking second, it was finishing something up. It was always working.
Did it feel like, I mean, okay, because like most people who like to draw and create and or using the A word, enjoy what they do. Like it's kind of, it's the vacation, right? It's fun. Mm-hmm. Did at any point, did that feel like work? Did it become kind of like work?
I feel like it's work every single time.
Okay.
It's every single time, you know, that like there's something like, it's always like that shit in the back of your head always telling you don't know what the fuck you're doing, you don't know this, like that
you're not good enough,
that leaf looks horrible, why did you draw it like that, why did you line it like that,
why'd you color it like that,
why did you color it like that? And like that, I use that inner saboteur as like my biggest, you know, like critique, you know, to help me keep going, to figure it out. That's my fuel. So I wouldn't say that I hate saying it like this, it's just something I kind of have to do.
Okay.
It's not like a need or anything. It's just something I have to always do. I have to push out art. But it was like at the beginning of my career, I had to jam out, like, I think it was like over like 10 pieces, like to like show off to a different apprentice at a different shop. And they were kind of like trying to pit us against each other.
Okay.
And I didn't have time. So I had to stay up all night and I couldn't afford a light box. So I was still in a band. So we used a floor tom and I put a light under it and we put plexiglass and that was my light table.
Nice.
You know, so just staying up all night after working all day, you know, I remember just sitting there drawing a crab, you know, just like, you know, trying to figure it out, drawing a rose, trying to figure it out, and not making it, of course. It's all god-awful.
Yeah, well, everybody starts somewhere. But nobody's good in the beginning of tattooing.
I think that's what got my stamina up.
Okay.
You know, I really, just from the get-go, I feel, honestly, my my love for it, ever since, like, I knew it was a possibility to get into this, nothing's changed. Like, I haven't been bummed out. I haven't felt any certain
No burnout. Okay.
No burnout. Good. Nothing like that. Of course, there's, you know, having like a block.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. There's plateaus where you're like, God, I'm not getting any better.
But I can say genuinely, I'm such a fan of everything that's in front of me that it makes it very easy to keep going. It's just hard to find where you are on the mountain. That's what it is.
Fucking Tatt Mountain.
Exactly.
As Yogi calls it. Yeah.
That's cool.
Tatt Mountain.
I like Tatt Mountain.
Yeah. He's like, once you get to the top, you realize there's another peak over there. You got to keep going.
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of people stop.
Yeah.
There's people that have fallen off, you know. They're like, they got good, they got complacent, and then nobody wants their style anymore. And they're like, why am I busy? And it's like, because you stopped.
Exactly.
you stopped your evolution.
Exactly.
So
like Chris told me, you know, like if you stop drawing, it's just like working out. Your stamina will go down. You will lose it.
Absolutely.
And
that's the exact same thing. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I tell people when they're not when they're struggling and they're not good. I'm like, it's just reps.
That's
you just
all
need to put in the time. You just need reps.
Yeah.
Practice makes perfect. And once again, that's where, you know, talent is one thing, but hard work will trump it every time, unless you're talented and hardworking, which, you know, then you're unbeatable.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, then you're Guy Atchison or you're these like really driven tattooers,
of course.
Or, you know.
And you and me have had thousands of conversations about those people.
Yep.
Like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're very jealous.
I mean,
at
you
least
know,
I am.
Yeah. I wanted to quit. I saw a Guy Atchison piece in person when I lived in Hawaii.
Okay.
And it was humbling, isn't even the right, like, it was unreal. It's a guy named Atort. He was a photographer. He actually did a lot of Guy's photography in the earlier years, like when Guy's like old website back in the day. A lot of those photographs were shot by this guy.
Yeah.
Amazing photographer, super cool dude. Had this really cool like space sleeve that like turned into this bio rib like upper thigh piece.
Oh, yeah.
And, dude, some of the lines on there were as thick as my pinky, and then some shit was lined in color or not lined at all. And I was like, what in the hell is this? Like, whoa. And there was textures everywhere and light sources, and it was... Yeah, I mean, I a week after I saw that, I saw a guy named Yoshi who had a full Horiyoshi 3 bodysuit. And after seeing both of those, I just was like, I don't even know why I do this. Like, it was, other than getting critiqued by bugs, it was the most humbling thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really just made me go, why am I even doing, I am just an imposter. I am just destroying people's lives with my shart. And, you know, like, but, you know, I mean, those things are, you know, they're pivotal moments. You need them. You need those, like, come to Jesus moments, as people call them in life. That,
absolutely.
You just go, okay, well, am I going to buckle down and try harder? And, you know, I mean, because I looked at that and I went, you know, I just don't think I'm wired like that. I don't think I could ever achieve what they've achieved, but it doesn't mean I can't be a good craftsman and a good steward of what I do.
Exactly.
And that's where I kind of like found my place, because I always wanted that pinnacle. I'm like, I want to be the best, you know? Like, I had that arrogance early in my career of like, I'm going to get good, I'm going to be the best, and I'm going to, I'm going to change everything, and I'm going to paint every tattoo I tattoo, and I'm like, oh, God. Yeah, but... Yeah. It's,
And it's funny is when you meet all those guys who we do consider the top of all of it, you know, the top of Tatt Mountain, as you say, they would never say they are the best.
No.
You know, they're the nicest, you know, people, and just super humble, and
their heads are down and they're digging the trench, man. They're working.
That's it.
They just don't stop.
That's it. They don't stop, and they haven't stopped for a long, long, long time.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, Jerry said it best. When you get to thinking you're the best, you know, that's when you fall off, right? You know,
absolutely.
We've seen it happen to plenty of tattooers, and there'll be plenty more.
I remember watching something with Philip, and he was meeting up with Horiyoshi too, and he told him that it took him like, I believe, 2 or 3 years just to figure out how to do scales.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the guy who revolutionized all the Japanese background that we know and love and look up to.
He influenced everybody, Henning and Mick and
everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone's
he made the bendy tattoo machine.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah. Basically made mags a thing, big ones. Mm-hmm. We went from flats and we had 5s and 7s, but he's like, we're gonna do 25s, and we're gonna do 35s, and we're gonna do 45s, and we're gonna get back pieces done in a day or two.
Oh yeah. And now look at the stuff they're making now. Those shovels.
Don't even. God, those are terrible. Once again, not affiliated with any real tattooing, just some Chinamen trying to make money, unfortunately, off of the backs of ignorant tattooers. Yeah, you don't need a 111 round. You just fucking don't.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah.
I remember when you soldered one for fun.
Oh, I made the 69 round liner.
The 69 round liner. That thing was fun.
I still have it. It's in my station.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So you did your apprenticeship there, and then where did you go after that? Like, what was the next shop you worked at?
So pretty much...
Or like, how did you transition out of your apprenticeship? Like, how long was your apprenticeship? Like, when were you officially a tattooer?
Over 2 years, I believe.
Okay. So kind of the old standard, the middle standard. The old standard was just being allowed to be in the shop, and you could hear the conversations, and if you kept showing up every day. But our generation, mine and yours, definitely was like a 2-year kind of thing.
But pretty much with all that kind of said, like my wife got sick. I had to take some time off. She was in the hospital a lot, and some of the guys didn't understand. So there was a period where I kind of had to take a break and take care of her. That was the whole thing, and I was hanging out a lot with some of the people we were talking about earlier, like Timo and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But pretty much. When all that kind of like cleared up and we, everyone was kind of good again, and all that happened.
Right.
The big thing they always put in my head was that I would never make money doing American traditional. Like that was the really big thing.
Okay.
Was no one would ever make money doing American traditional, because think about how things were in 2009.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially out there.
Yep.
And everyone that made me really, really excited on tattooing at the time, they were doing bio. Like, bio was what I thought I was going to do.
Okay.
At the very beginning. Like, I thought I was going to get bio. I thought I was going to get all of these different things like that. But they told me, like, pretty much, like, this is what we do. We do portrait work. We do lettering work. There's one guy there that did bio. But like barely anybody did like any sort of American traditional.
Yeah, no eagles, no daggers, no skulls.
There was one piece on the wall of the Huck Spalding, design. That was it. Of course, no one got it. But then I went with one of my friends, and we went to Tattoo Syndicate.
Okay.
And I remember going into John's shop for the first time, and it was the one right next to that police station. I think it was on D Street in San Bernardino.
Okay.
And I have never hung out in San Bernardino up to this point.
Okay.
I have never really been around it. And pretty much, I walked into this place, and there were homeless people being crazy. There was, like, we went and got a soda. My first time seeing, like, a crack nail. Someone ripped like the skateboards off the wall and were taking it to the skateboard shop to get gripped, and so my guy was literally trying to get his skateboards back. And legitimately, I saw my first real piece that really put me on my pockets, which was the Matt Shama row sheet with the skulls and the hammer with that diamond.
Shama. There's a name most people don't know.
But the thing is that no one knew who did it. No one told me. And, I was getting tattooed by John Montgomery's apprentice.
Okay.
So it was just on the wall. So I ended up getting like 4 of these things. I got them all done with the first Alla Prima ink, by the way.
Ooh,
Yeah. So once I saw this stuff, it like just blew my mind. it absolutely, I keep a sheet of it in the shop right now. Like,
Perfect.
of it, you know, I just need to have that thing near me. I got to get tattooed by Shama just because of what that was.
Right.
But pretty much as soon as I found that, I'm like, I got to get out of Palm Springs. And luckily, my wife's hospital was in Loma Linda, where she needed to be.
Oh, okay.
So pretty much we moved out to the IE, and I knew a couple tattooers out here, and I ended up working at a semi-private shop. It was called Old Love, and it was owned by Trey Velker, and he opened up Foothill Tattoo. That was his shop.
Okay.
But he found me, and we worked with him for a while, and he was nothing but great to me. Cool. But pretty much that shop was cool. I was happy to be there. But then he offered me the shop after like 3.5 years. He's like, hey, I'm going to move on. You know, would you like to buy the shop? And I was like, no, I'm not willing to own a shop. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So like...
And that's funny because so many people would have taken the opportunity, you know, right? Like...
Yeah, I had no idea. I did not want to open the shop. I didn't want to do anything like that. And then he was like, cool, you have 8 days. So I was like, awesome, I'll get my stuff out tonight. You know? And so like it was nothing like trying to be mean or nothing like that. I'm just a man that works really fast. So, you know, I took my paintings, took my stuff, and I started looking around, and, you know, all the normal people like offered me a job, like, you know, and but it just didn't feel like a right fit.
Okay.
And then for some reason I saw this shop with this horrible name, you know, that just seemed to like, you know what, let me go down there and give it a shot. And so it was called House of Pain. Yep. And I walked down there, you know, went down the street, and I'm like, you know what, I could see me doing this drive every day. And I went down, and I met the guys, but Rowdy wasn't in, and Rowdy was the manager at the time. And so I gave him a phone call. I met all the other guys. They were all super cool, and I kind of liked the vibe. It was more chill. Not so much like rambunctious that we're kind of used to.
Yeah.
And so the next day I went down and I met Rowdy, and he saw my work. He saw how much, like, he didn't even want to see my paintings. He's like, why do you have this stack of paintings? Like, no, that doesn't matter. Do you want the job? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll take the job. I kind of like the vibe here. Okay. So I started, you know, my thing really quick there, and then pretty much within like 3 weeks, me and Rowdy we just connected. Like, we really, really got along. We really just instantly had a friendship. We liked the same stuff. We argued about Star Wars all the time. And pretty much the only thing we had a problem is that this shop was owned by a non-tattooer.
Right, yeah.
And I didn't know really what that meant because I was so new into the business. But I knew that I always had a problem with authority. I really hated authority, but I was so okay with a tattooer telling me what to do. Like, I just, like, was able to go, okay. Right. I don't know. I felt like I found, like, the people that I could be in the tribe with. Right. And so this guy would come along and tell me to clean the fish tank, and I'm like, I'm here to fucking tattoo. Don't tell me what the fuck to do. Like, no, I don't like that shit. Right. So...
Fish tanks and tattoo shops.
Yeah, it was awful. But
I mean, it can be done right, but man, you need to...
Yeah, exactly.
It's rarely done right. Let's just put it that way.
Exactly. But, like, I got along with all the guys really there, you know, for the most part. All of us were really, really close. You know, I got close with the apprentice. I got close to everyone there. You know, and then after a while, like, we started guest spotting a lot in San Diego. Like, he had another shop out there that needed some help, and I was getting a lot of clients who wanted American traditional, and I realized that instantly the IE is my spot. The IE was more home than Big Bear, where I'm originally from, or Palm Springs ever was. Okay. Like, this has been my spot, and I feel like I've learned so much more in those two areas. Like, you know, just...
Well, I think a lot of people don't understand how cool the IE is. It's really diverse.
Extremely.
You know, there's definitely room for American traditional tattooers. There's room for straight Chicano, single needle. Yeah. There's room for lettering people. Yeah. You know, you can be bio. You know, you're going to find some people. Probably less now than you used to. 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, mid 2000s. You're probably killing it with bio out here too.
Oh, of course.
But there's a little bit of something for everyone in the IE. There's enough diversity from the top to the bottom where you're gonna be able to build a clientele if you treat people right and you're a good tattooer and you show up and
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a unique area like that because a lot of places like Idaho, I had a friend that moved from here up to there years ago, and he's like, yeah, man, he's like, it's all Japanese and American trad up here. Everyone wants color. He's like, I'm the fucking black and gray guy. And he's really carved a good niche for himself because he is fucking amazing.
That's awesome.
But yeah, when he first got there, he was a little worried. He started painting stuff in color, and he was like, oh crap, I'm gonna have to conform, because there just is nothing else up there, and at least in the Boise area where he's at, that's all they wanted, and I'm sure that's changed because especially a lot of transplants over the years, during COVID and all that, everybody expatted out of Cali to air quote freer places. But yeah, no, it used to be like certain areas like where I'm from, it was just Cherry Creek. Man, it was just Cherry Creek every day, all day. Adam Kaplan, all that old flash, tattoo brand stuff. People didn't want nothing custom. They didn't, they didn't want nothing, Like if you wanted to be a special this or special that, it was really difficult, And I think that's why so many good tattooers come out of the Inland Empire is because it's such fertile ground for tattooers to grow on.
Absolutely. Like the second I came out here and I kind of felt the vibe, it instantly felt like home. It instantly felt like everyone across the board was blue collar. It instantly felt like home. Like this is the place where I feel like I should be. I don't really plan on leaving anytime soon. And you know exactly where I work. That's a happening street.
Yeah.
It's a happening street, but something about it being like a second level, like brings in the super crazy ones or not at all. And it's been really, really an eventful time. But it's starting to level out more since we've been able to like rebrand and do everything like that.
Yeah, for sure.
And especially like there was a time where I was gonna leave that place. I just was over it. I was gone and I was tattooing, with a lot of other people that I highly respected.
I remember.
But like I don't think they realized that a lot of these people were telling me like the things that were almost keeping me away. Like that place was something. That place was the spot.
Yeah, the magic of that. I mean, that is the seed which basically sown the entire Inland Empire tattoo shops and or inspired the people who became tattooers through some other means other than the Empire.
Exactly.
Which, congratulations, Empire. Valentine's, you turned 37 years old.
Congrats, Sean.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I'm only 4 years in and I am fucking losing my mind. I don't know how you did it, bud. Good job.
Yeah.
All hail Empire. But yeah, that's where it started. So back then, I don't think a lot of people know. If you go back, I mean, my understanding, I may be wrong. There might be some other shops or whatever. But back in the day, it was the Pike. There was Good Time Charlie's, and there was Fat George's, and then there was nothing if you came inland. You had to go to San Diego to find shops. So my understanding is that Sean and Empire and some other people with him that, Mike Trike, he's cool, but the other one doesn't get named. But yeah, they opened a shop in that location in which you currently work.
Yeah.
And that is where it all started. That's where tattooing came to the Inland Empire. Like that's who brought it there. That's the shop, and it's kind of a special thing, I mean,
it really is.
There's a few shops. Charlie's just turned 50. That's a huge deal. I mean, they're a huge seed for the whole entire LA worldwide culture. Big deal. But Sean's and that specific location there in Rialto, that's where it started.
And hearing all the crazy stories and all of it, and then from all these people that I admire, they're like, Wichael, please tell me, like, there's still guns in the walls, there's porn in the ceilings, there's still bullet holes in the walls. Like, you gotta please tell me that some of that's there. Like, and now, like, Rowdy's getting to a point in his career where he's able to buy the shop. And then he's telling me, like, we could make this something, and he could smell it. Like, I was, like, out the door.
Right.
So he's like, do you want to make this place something again? And I'm like, will you just let me kind of
Right.
You know, will you let me fly type thing? And, you know, we kind of had the agreement, and I kind of like realized that I need to make all these people that I look up to proud. I have to.
Right.
You know, and you're one of them. You're one of the people that I really want to make fucking proud, being like, you looked at that place that it was something.
Yeah.
That
well,
it was something.
I remember what it was just from stories.
Exactly.
And then I knew what it was when you were there and I first met you. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I see what it's become.
Yeah, that's why I waited so long to start getting tattooed by all of these people that I've been getting tattooed by the last like 7-8 years.
Okay.
Because when you say your name of your shop, it's a part of your name, period. Like, it's a part of your identity.
Yep.
You know, and like, I didn't want to shake hands with, you know, Nick Colella and say, hey, I work at House of Pain. Like, it sounds like a wrestling ring. You know, it doesn't sound like a tattooer owned it.
It sounds old. It just sounds like an old.
It sounds like someone who doesn't tattoo trying to come in on it. You know, and I'm very happy. Like,
I think bright colors. I think diamond plate. I think biker shit. Like, yeah. I just think old. I think 90s tattoo shop.
And like, I'm very happy that it stayed a tattoo shop.
Right.
I'm very happy it did, but I am elated that it's now tattoo owned again.
Right.
And all of these guys that were like bummed out on the name can at least, or bummed out like who it was sold to.
Yeah, for sure.
Can now know, fuck, it's owned by tattooers again.
Right.
Oh, there's tattoo flash on the wall again.
Right, yeah.
Oh, like just...
most of which you painted.
Yeah. Or it's stuff that I've collected.
Yeah.
Like, there's definitely some really dope stuff from, like, Heather Bailey, Bob Roberts, you know.
Yeah, the good stuff.
Oh, the best, for sure. A lot of Tim Lehigh's on the walls right now. A lot of Jeff Gogwe.
Nice.
Yeah, I bought so much. Mike Dorsey.
Yeah, that's it right there. Those are, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If people don't know those names, please search those people and educate yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're the Michael Jordans of tattooing.
Oh.
You know? Yep.
Oh my gosh. Yep. Absolutely. And I'm just naming a couple top of my head.
right. Yeah, like, no, I've seen the walls. I haven't been there yet, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But make it one of these days. But
yeah,
no, I've seen the pictures and it's amazing. I mean, the transformation from what it was to what it is now is great. I feel like the tat gods are happy. Things are
hope so.
Back again.
I really hope so. And like, being a torchbearer is very important to me, and keeping that place going, and you know, like, is very... I want that place to stay a tattoo shop forever. I want it to live past whatever I put in there.
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe one piece of flash stays, you know, and then you know, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, change. There's what a few things in life you can count on, and things changing is definitely. I mean, you know, we're going through it right now with tattooing. Tattooing's in a great change.
Absolutely.
Not great in a good way necessarily, but just it's going through turmoil. Change is definitely...
Yeah, but it's kind of like what I was talking to you about earlier. Like, yeah, if we look at that side of tattooing, we can be pretty bummed out.
Yeah, but there's cool stuff in the future, for sure. I'm not...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as I found that not recommended button, and now I get to see all the parts of tattooing where I believe is very much alive and very beautiful, and I get excited. Because the one thing I really hate on is being bummed out. Like, I don't like being in a bad mood because my brain's already like that a lot of the time.
Right.
So to just, you know, be jazzed on, you know, I don't know, Freddie Corbin killing just a sweet Jesus head. You know, like, it makes you pumped.
Oh, dude, I love his Sacred Hearts. Oh. I love all the little swords, all the little details in them, and then the rays are just perfect every time. Like,
yeah,
and the little roses that come across.
Oh my gosh, all of it.
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah, he's the best. And as good as he is at tattooing, he's an even better person. Like,
that's what I've heard. I've never met him personally, but everybody I know that's been tattooed by him or interacted with him said he's just the biggest
best
sweetheart. Yeah,
he's the absolute best.
Yeah,
yeah, good guy all the way around. He sold me a couple really cool prints. Like,
nice.
Yeah,
he's awesome.
Stuff. Great guy. Great shop too.
Tattooing needs more of that. Yep, they need more people like that. Are less self-important. A lot more loving. You know, nowadays it's just, I got this many followers. How many followers do you have? It's like, it doesn't matter, man. Like,
no, what tattooed you do?
Yeah, well, that, but, you know, to me, I've always, like, everybody's good now. You know, like, kids 2 years in are killing it. Like they're good.
Yeah, of course.
Doors are all wide open. There's no hidden anything anymore. There's no secret information.
You can't put the magic back in the bag.
Nah, the milk spilt. It doesn't go back in the bottle. But yeah, it's everybody's good. So now to me, I kind of judge it more on like the content of someone's character. Like, it's not, are you a cool person? Are you good? Are you a good steward of tattooing? Are you a decent human being? How do you interact with the world? How do you treat, like I'll never forget I met somebody and he's like, you got animals. He's like, you're probably a cool person. He's like, only kind people own and care for animals.
Really?
Oh. And I was like, that's kind of sweet. Obviously there's Michael Vicks in the world.
Of course.
That are terrible. But no, to me it's the content of someone's character. I care more about that than how good they are because everyone's good. And if they're not, they're going to be if they stick with it long enough, if they even half try. Dildo pens have made it so easy. I was showing you some of that stuff today. These products.
Oh, the training wheel stuff.
Yeah. It's kids are going to get good so much faster. Stuff that took me 10 years to get, they take 10 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, that's how fast it's accelerated.
Well,
I feel like.
Yeah, speaking of, like, all that progression, like, I heard something that was kind of, like, upsetting to me. Like, pretty much, like, this person had, like, they were an apprentice, and they said, like, oh, I could already tattoo better than my mentor. And I'm like, do you realize that's a good thing? Like, that dude went through all the mistakes to teach you that, to get you starting off on a better area.
Yeah.
Like, that is so... If you try to teach someone to be as good as them, like, that's dumb. No, you want them to surpass you.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, no, if you are a mentor who's driven by a desire to make things better than you found them...
Yeah.
And you're not just stroking your ego and go, oh, I got 12 apprentices and blah, blah, blah,
like,
if you're doing it for the right reasons, then yeah, absolutely you want them to be better.
Yeah, of course.
Granted, if they're only a year or two in or they're still considered an apprentice and they're better than you, then like, that's I don't know how I feel about that. Either they got really, really good or you were not all that great at tattooing and maybe shouldn't have apprenticed anybody, but...
I see them as a great teacher.
Yeah, well, no, absolutely. At the end of the day, for sure.
Absolutely. There's a reason they got that good, and it was through that person's guidance.
It might be better at teaching than tattooing, and that's the thing, too. Like, there's a lot of hats that a tattooer needs to have, especially, like, owners, like shop owners. It's like sometimes you're really good at running a business, but you suck at tattooing. Sometimes you're really good at tattooing, but you suck at running a business. It's hard to find that balance where you can kind of be good at both. Being an apprentice, teaching people, apprenticing someone is kind of the same thing. Like, you might be a really good tattooer, but sometimes you can't translate that into common terms. You can't get that into somebody else. And, sometimes you're really good at it. Mm-hmm. And maybe, I guess, you could probably be a not so great tattooer and be a good teacher. Yeah, all the information's out there nowadays. It's not like you have to have that information to give it. You just have to be able to get somebody motivated enough to go get it themselves and or provide the access to like, hey, this is where you can find a video about how to do this better.
To be the conduit.
Yeah. For
Absolutely.
Sure. I guess I never thought of it that way. I always thought you had to be kind of decent to teach people, but I guess that's an older mentality.
I just don't like that mentality of an apprentice thinking that that's already in the cards. Like, you're already better of them. Like, no, this person's taking time out of their career to show you something that's really beautiful, and you're already thinking you're surpassing them. Like, no, you don't know everything. You may think you know how to do that, but you don't know everything.
Oh, there's a curse. It used to be, what was it? It was about 5-6 years back in my era. Old man me. But about that time, you started being able to do a pretty decent tattoo. Clients liked it. And, oh, man, that's when you started getting big shit, Yeah, oh, man, I can tattoo. I'm awesome. All my clients fucking love me, and I'm making money, and I'm killing it. And, that's when you need your ego checked. I think nowadays it's about a year in. I think most of the kids kind of hit that about a year in. They get pretty decent after about a year if they really put their time and effort into it. And I feel like then they're like, oh, yeah. And it's like, dude, there's so much you don't even know that you don't know. Like, calm down.
and that's why I think it's so important to keep getting fucking tattooed.
Yeah.
Keep getting fucking tattooed. Like,
and not just by your dumbass friends who are apprenticing with you across town.
Absolutely. Like, I've been, it took me 6 months to get tattooed by Kale. You know, we finished like the whole top of my right arm, and it's fucking perfect. Like I love this tattoo.
Oh,
so
it's a
much.
beautiful tattoo. I love that thing.
But he was doing like a bunch of stuff that I had no idea, like if it made sense, like what is he doing, and like it really taught me a lot just watching him do it.
Yep.
And you know, I was already tattooing for, I don't know, 11, 12 years at the time, and it just put me on my pockets, and I felt very happy to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, keep getting tattooed and you'll realize how much you don't know.
Well, get tattooed by people who are levels above you. Yeah, for sure. Because there is a lot to be gleaned, and if you approach it properly, they're gonna give you something. You know, they're gonna give you some knowledge. They're gonna, and even if they don't purposely try to teach you something, if you're a student of the game and you pay attention.
Yeah, like I bought some machines when I was hanging out one night with Julius, and I told him one kind of ran weird, and then he just told me to lay on the table, and he just tattooed a perfect rose on my leg with practically nothing there. Just went for it, and just made my brain explode. Just made my absolute brain explode. Like, and just seeing him do that, like, I know nothing. I'll never know anything. And
well, you'll know plenty. You just have to keep after it. But yeah, I get the feeling. I understand the sentiment.
I feel like he's forgotten more than I'll ever know.
Okay, Shanghai.
Is that from Shanghai?
I don't know who said it. I saw her say it first. Yeah. As far as I know it.
Yeah.
That's the first person I saw say it, but I know a bunch of those. I guarantee you she got that from somebody who got it from somebody. I'm sure if you go back to the 1900s, somebody was saying that, you know.
Rowdy says it all the time in the shop, and it really rings true.
Yeah.
But it's nice to know someone like Shanghai said that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I remember seeing her say it. I remember seeing Candy Everett say it. I know... like Walters, just that whole that generation used to love joking around about that with all the black shirts, as they were called.
Oh, of course.
That was their joke.
I don't know if I told you, but like my wife actually ends up like randomly like emailing Candy Everett.
Yeah.
You know, because she wants to get me cool stuff. You know, she's got me like some like Sailor Jerry stuff, and then
isn't that the best when like they get it and they know they're not like buying you socks or like a new T-shirt that you don't want. They're like, oh, he'd want a piece of art or a book or I haven't talked to her, but like I think it's so dope. You know that like my wife like has this little like back and forth now and then, and like I see Candy pop up on her phone, and I'm like, that's so cool. You know, it's been a couple of years since I've seen it, but like, you know, man, the Candy's got some cool stuff in her collection. She's a treasure trove, man.
I got like these 2 big pinups from her. They're just perfect pinup acetates. Like,
beautiful. Yeah, no, she
killed those things.
She's got some cool stuff, and she was amazing in her own right too.
Oh, of course.
She wasn't just hanging out because she was a girl. She was there by her own merit for sure.
Was it Candy at the end of I believe it was Tattoo Time with Tattoo Magic? She did like that face on top of the head.
Yeah, that thing is iconic.
That thing is so cool.
And the Dave Lum breakfast head.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the 2 coolest head tattoos I've ever seen to this day. You can't change my mind. Those are the best.
My
They'll never be better than those 2.
That yellow is so sick on the Dave Lum one.
Amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. If you don't know who those 2 are, definitely look up those 2 head tattoos.
They're fun. They're just fun parts of tattooing.
They're
Nothing
classic.
needs to be... It doesn't have to be like a big like biker tough guy. It could be kind of fun. And,
it can be silly. Yeah, it can be a necklace of dicks. Dave Lum's classic.
Oh my gosh.
Chick.
Yeah.
Oh man. Pretty cool.
I was talking to Chris about that while I was getting something done by him, and you know Dave did a big on a thing on his elbow.
Okay.
And we all know about the P.
Yeah.
But what he told me is that it actually has a brown nose. He's like, you know what you were doing, so I gave him a brown nose. And I'm like, funny. That's so cool. Yeah.
Dude, that's the best. That's what tattooing needs more of that, kids. Don't take it so serious. Have some fun. And be silly.
Dave Lum was the funniest. Like, didn't he like get off of drugs and started getting high off the weird shit he was doing? I think I read something about that or watched something with him.
I'm not as familiar as I should be with his overall like career and history. I know the pictures and
Yeah, I think he like said something like, I get like high off of all the weird
doing silly stuff.
Doing the silly,
doing the fun tattoos.
Creative stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I know he was famous for like he'd line something with like say an 8-round or a 7-round, and then he'd push it real far out, hit it with a lighter, and then shade it with a
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And everybody, oh, what'd you do that for? None of your business, kid. Shut up.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah.
Or some of those old tattooers that had all the holes in their shirts.
Oh yeah, or in their pants, yeah, because they'd pop the needle open a bit, yeah. Aaron Funk told me a fun story about that back in the day. Watching Warcott, and he had a towel on his lap, and he's poking. Oh, it's not running right. And,
a lot of those guys still do the towel thing quite a
bit.
Yeah, Mahoney, I think, still does the towel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Wow, when you wear clothes like that guy, Jesus.
You have to.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Style.
That guy's the coolest guy in tattooing, period.
He's pretty fun.
Yeah. I want to get tattooed by him real bad.
Yeah. These guys, man. Get tattooed. Kids out there, if you're listening, get tattooed by these legends before they're not here anymore.
I wish I could have saw Shamrock. I never saw Shamrock.
Yeah, that's a travesty.
Yeah.
That's a story for another day. Next question. iPad, paper, both. Why?
Yes. All of it.
Okay.
I believe in all of it. I think it all has a play. I think that the iPad for a while kind of held me back at the beginning.
It can, yes, absolutely. It can be a crutch.
It could be an absolute crutch.
Yep.
But I really liked it because I really liked working fast. Because, getting yelled at by people being like, this person's right here and they want to get tattooed right now. That's in your brain.
Yeah. Walk-in tattooer, yeah.
You have to get that shit done right then and there. That I was really gravitated towards that. And again, like watching Hori Smoku at such a young age made me really embrace technology to a certain degree, but also remember what I come from. Yeah. So like I liked starting off with the iPad and finishing off on paper. I started off on an iPad and I always end up on watercolor paper. I like both quite a bit. I like the free feeling of being able to work on something and not have troves of tracing paper just around or digging for the design.
Okay.
I really, really treasure paper. I really love paper. I don't think there's anything like it. I like the tangible feel. I made like 2 pieces of like iPad Flash. And it just felt weird. It didn't have like that look or feel or...
It's missing a soul.
Yeah, exactly. Like I really like seeing, the marks that were made on the paper. Yep. Even if it's a print, like knowing like, hey, they kind of went a little harder here, like, or just something like that.
They went over the line a little bit there. It's
fun.
That's fun. Like when you go to a museum and you see like pieces of the paintbrush still in the painting and these masters paintings, from the 1500s, and
you're there to see them, not the painting. You're there to see all the whole thing. Like that's why
in its totality.
That's why I'm so obsessed with Goya. Dude. You weren't there to see a perfect, smooth, and he could do it. He could do it, but you want to see those weird black paintings that he did in the house, just him mad as fuck.
Yep.
That shit, like where he's losing his fucking vision, you want to see their point of view across, and those strokes tell so much.
Yeah, and iPads kind of lose that with art for sure. Exactly. I mean, they're great at making stickers. They're great at making kind of pop art stuff like that. Like a sticker could be made real easily on there. I feel like it's easier to get it to your printer than like having to get some scan of your watercolor paper drawing or painting of it or whatever. But other than that, it's an expedient to here's the picture I want off Google, put it here, and you're like, okay, cool, let me go trace it real quick on my iPad.
Yeah, but for me, I really like being able to buy the tracing of the tattoo after I'm done getting it.
I have a few from a few people.
Like,
for sure.
And I think I've had like some people be like, you want me to like redraw? I'm like, no, give me that one. Like where you were like figuring stuff out. Like that one is like where the fucking magic is for me. Like,
well, it lets me see your process.
Like, do you want to hear the Misfits fully like with like great sound? Like, do you want to listen to black metal with perfect, surround sound equal? No, you want to feel the rawness of the paper. Like, and I think that's so important. Like, and I'm lucky enough to have, like, some really cool things like that where, these guys literally, like, sell me the sketches. And it's my favorite. Like, I love seeing imperfections. Like, I don't know if I told you, but a couple of years ago, I bought some Kazuo Ogori stuff.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and those things just are incredible. Like, they're just fucking perfect. And, you know, you could literally see, like, you know, just exactly where it kind of pooled and how thin the paper is. And, you know, I just love just knowing the fact that everything's right there. And when you put all of that digitally, you know, like, it kind of renders it out. You know, like, it'll stable you with the line.
Yeah.
You know, and that you know, that's cool for like a tattoo. Like, if someone really wants this exact thing and they don't want your point of view, you know, which you and me believe in tattooing those people all day. You know, like, they want this fucking little design. Let's go.
They're the ones that hold it all up. They're the base of the pyramid. The 100%. Tippy top of the pyramid is the collectors who want back pieces. And they want you in the tattoo, or they want your opinion of it. But it's a small percentage. It's the very tippy top of the pyramid. The holding it up is honestly just the people who like want it now. They want this, they want that. They're not going to listen. And it's your job to tattoo them. And at the end of the day, you're an art server, in my opinion.
I'm gonna butcher it, but I remember one of the most influential things I ever heard was from a Mike Fight interview, saying like, you don't want to do like, I believe like, you know, 30 butterflies on a hip. Like, you don't want to do that. Give me it. I'll do it. And that really like hit me hard. Like, they walk through the door, they want it, you give it to them, and you give it to them the best of your ability. And I really, really like that. I really, really like that. And hearing that, you know, really got rid of like that ego of like, oh, they don't need my point of view. Some people don't want it. They want this exact thing. And hopefully you earn their trust so you can do that painting behind you. Yeah. And they don't all have to be that person, you know. Exactly. And there's something to that. I have so many people that I tattoo who could not care at all about, you know, getting a Kieran, a dragon.
All the stuff you love and think is so cool and like so meaningful and powerful, and you're giving a talisman to someone.
Exactly. They don't want it.
Their talisman is, I want the Starbucks logo, you know, I want the safe thing I've seen.
And you know what? Some of those people are so much more fun than the people who want this obscure yokai. You know, they're not a snobby person. You know, like,
absolutely.
Yeah, they have great stories. They sit super well. They're not over here like researching their aftercare before you know.
What ink do you use?
Exactly. You know, they're just fun.
Have you seen Ink Master?
Exactly. Tattooing, you know, this 50-year-old fucking, you know, mom, you know, who just wants this little feather.
Yeah, man.
She's got a great story. She's super fun. She sits super well.
She's seen some shit, man. She's 50 years old. She's been through life. She's embraced suck. She's embraced joy. She's been there. She's done that.
Those have been some of my most fun days in the shop.
Yeah. Honestly, I think I've had times where like someone has been so difficult to work with and I'm so angry, but by the time we get the design right and they're stoked and like we start, a lot of times they end up being some of the most fun ones to deal with, like at the end, not in the beginning. Like they're tough in the beginning, but the payoff of getting it right. Yeah, some of those, I mean, they're just some of my favorite customers sometimes.
Yeah, I have a trove of those people who could not care about my personal art, my personal point of view. You know, but they're very happy with the product that I give them.
Well, and that's your job, right? I mean, that's where the rubber meets the road of it really being a job.
Exactly, and that's why I, you know, like the word tattooer a lot of the time. Like that's where the craftsman part is. Like, you know, I know how to get it in the skin, the right depth, and
you know, look good in 10 years, and
you know, treat them right, shake their hands, look them in the eye.
Well, give them a story, give them some entertainment, you know. Like, I try to tell people, especially the people that work here, like, hey, you know, this person took time out of their day today, whether it's their day off or they're on their lunch break or, you know, be it what it may. You're the entertainment for the day. You're the movie, you're the beach, you're the concert, you're the trip to the desert. That's what you are today. It's not all those other things they could have did. They chose you. So make it worth their time.
I remember that me and my wife wanted to go to Jersey Mike's for lunch. And we ended up showing up a little early, but it was already open, and a lot of people already were in there in line. And the floor was wet, and there was a little kid slamming like get the wet floor sign on the floor. It's already loud. People are asking for all these crazy orders, and I'll never forget this kid trying to like listen to like what they're saying and how bummed out he looks in his eyes. You know, and I tattoo a lot of 19-year-old kids that want cool stuff.
Right? Yeah.
That kid has to work 5 hours minimum for my minimum.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's sacrificing that horrible time to get what I would just get started with.
Mm-hmm.
Give them a good fucking time.
Yep.
Give them a good experience.
Yep. Yeah.
You know what? The biggest thing for me is that I know what it's like to wait 4 hours for somebody that doesn't want you there. You know, and they don't have the design ready, and then you're waiting longer, and you know, meeting some of your people that you wanted to get tattooed by at a very young age sometimes isn't the best.
You must be careful when meeting your idols. Yeah.
Yeah.
You definitely hold them to a higher standard,
you know,
than they hold themselves sometimes, for sure.
I don't know about you, but there are so many times where I felt like an inconvenience just being in the room, you know, just trying to be a collector, just trying to be a part of it, you know.
Right.
The amount of times I walked into tattoo shops where, like, they have said very mean things for me from the start, then found out that I tattooed later. Like, they're like, oh, my bad. I'm like, why do this?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like these people are working hard to do this, to be in this room, to, you know, so my whole like mission statement that I realized at a very young age is that I want to be the tattooer I always wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So when they show up, I'm fucking set up, you know, like the drawing's done.
Right.
Like, I want them to show that like their time matters to me. Like I really care about that. Like those things mean a lot to me. They're letting me do, especially when they let you like.
Oh yeah.
They let you have your point of view across.
What do you think? Right? Yeah. That's always such a double-sided coin. You're like, okay, well, you know, if you're a Dave Lom character, you're like, yeah, I think dicks are cool with rainbows and fucking unicorns, and
no, like
not everybody's gonna be into that. So what do you want?
This is like a genuine problem for me right now because a lot of the subject matter I do is cool. I do a lot of cool-looking tattoos that. Looking isn't the right word. A lot of cool subject matter.
Okay. Yeah.
So now when I start drawing out the design, I'm like, fuck. Now I need to match how cool that sounds. You know.
Well, and what's come before it too.
Oh my gosh.
Right. You're drawing a dragon. Okay, cool. Is it anywhere near an Ed Hardy dragon or a dragon or a Mick or a Philip or right? You're like, oh my god. Yeah.
That's hard. That's hard, and I fight that hard quite a bit. Yeah. You know, like, okay, like, do I, you know, go off reference for this one? Do I not? You know, like, there's a lot of that, and I feel that pressure quite a bit. That's why now every morning, we haven't even talked about it, but every morning I try to do a 20 to 15 minute sketch per page.
Okay.
I do one dragon every morning. I do one girl figure, and I do one tiger or big cat. Okay. And I knock those things out every morning. Just that's kind of my thing.
It's like your meditation, your morning meditation.
Yeah, and some days it's hard to meditate. You know, some days it's today was a hard day. Okay. You know, I just wasn't coming to me. But you know, sitting down and doing it. But like, pretty much we all like Kale's dragons. They're fucking awesome.
They're great. Yeah.
There's a reason I waited that long to get a dragon by him. But like, I asked him, you know, one day, like, how long did it take you to get to this point with and he said, just long time.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I need to start.
Yeah.
I need to start.
It's like in investing or retirement, you know, the sooner you start, the better the dividends are later, for sure. The bigger the better. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's where I'm at right now. I'm in a really weird spot where I know I could be right here and be very comfortable. You know, and I could have a good living, you know, forever.
Right.
But I don't feel fulfilled doing that. Yeah. And I don't necessarily need to, you know, be like the most famous tattooer in the world, but I need to be the best tattooer I can be.
Well, here's the thing about fame. I've found, for me anyways, I early in the career, like, oh yeah, you know, I want to get in the magazines and do this and that and whatever, you know, and, you know, now there's Instagram, and I'm like, I don't give a shit about how many likes I have or how many followers.
It's pretty freeing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's so many good tattooers that have no following, and there's so many shitty tattooers that have a huge one. Yeah. But what I've found is, honestly, like, now that I've been in town, I've been in Temecula since 2014. That's when I left Empire in 2013, 2014. I kind of transitioned.
That was Redlands, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've been here long enough now where I run into people all over town. And they're like, oh, you're the guy that did my tattoo. Or
there's nothing better than that.
And like, honestly, to me, that's the level of fame every tattooer should want. Is like, does the barista in town know you as a tattooer? Does the McDonald's guy know? You know, whatever. Like, yeah, are you famous in town as the tattooer?
That's
like, if
all
you can
I
achieve
want.
that, like, you're good because they're the ones that pay your bills.
Yeah.
All these followers don't pay your bills. If Bishop reposts your photo, they're not paying your bills. Like,
yeah,
you know, the people down the street that work these real jobs, like you said, that work 5 hours to make
get
enough money
started.
just to get the drawing process going. You know, those are the ones paying your bills.
100%.
Yeah, if they know who you are, cool, man.
That's the biggest thing for me because a lot of these guys, you know, and I have nothing against conventions. I personally have a. I don't know if I'm good in a convention setting. You know, it's very loud. You know, it's all these different things.
Right.
But I'm really lucky that I'm really busy in my hometown.
Yeah. That's where you want to be busy.
Yeah, and
that's where you need to be busy.
And I like going to the shop every day. I like opening up. Yeah. I like putting on the music. Mm-hmm. You know, those things are
lighting
really,
some incense for the gods or whatever.
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
that's like my favorite thing right now. The incense part. Like, it's just there's something to it. You know, and like it burns out when your client gets there, and then boom, you're ready to get into it.
Yeah. You got nothing going on all day, and you light it up, and halfway through, there's a, hey, can I come in? You guys got time? Yeah, dude. We're ready.
My gosh, that's the greatest. Yeah. Like I love being in the shop. I really enjoy being there.
And that's what's different.
It's my temple.
That's what's different about you and a lot of kids of your generation, unfortunately, and some of the newer kids. You know, they just. COVID kind of spoiled everything. It changed everything. There's a lot of changes in tattooing. Like, you know, obviously the invention of electricity and the electric, you know, Edison's electric pen is one of the bigger ones.
Of course.
You know, went from Taborian to Tau to, you know, stick and poke to, oh wow, we can do this electrically. That was a huge change. I think the next really big change, honestly, was the internet. The next one that really revolutionized, just flipped tattooing on its head, was the internet.
Yeah, the reference got so much higher instantly, and along with social media,
connectivity, forums, access to equipment became so much easier. It let a lot of good people in, and it let a lot of shit people in. The next really big one, I feel like, kind of was the TV shows, because it really kind of made soccer moms think, oh, I could get a tattoo. You know, it's not bikers anymore. It's not just rapey gang, you know, like it's this whole, you can go cry and be vulnerable at a tattoo shop.
Of course.
You know, and that really changed things pretty drastically. And then COVID really changed everything. It created so many of these tattooers that think October is the busiest month on the ever, and it's not.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it changed how people wanted to work. People kind of rethought life. People went, I care about my family more than I care about my job. Yeah. And I think a lot of tattooers kind of took that approach. So the ones that were apprenticing or came up shortly before or during and even after kind of approach it differently now. You know, they want to be there at 10 in the morning and they want to leave at 4 in the afternoon. You know, I'm done for the day. I'm books closed. I did 1 tat a day. You know? Yeah. And that's kind of a huge change.
Yeah. I think COVID changed a lot for me. It changed absolutely a lot. Like, for one, I don't know about you, but it was kind of nice to call your friends that are all usually working. Because, you know, everyone's at home. I was able to catch up with some other people in other shops that, you know, like, because we always have our heads down. Yep. I enjoyed COVID for probably a month. Yep. For a solid month. I really, really enjoyed it.
I played a lot of Call of Duty, and I fixed a lot of things around my ranch that were in dire need of repair, and I just didn't have time.
For me, I don't know if I've ever told you, but every painting I've done up to that point was finished in 1 day. Okay. Like, everything needed to be done in 1 day so I could move on to the next, because people didn't want to get that peacock. They wanted the rose. So I just needed to always break out, like, okay, here's a scorpion. Just boom. Just always pumping out new designs.
Gotcha.
COVID taught me to work on one painting for as long as I needed. and make a painting. I still did like tattoo iconography, of course, but like I was able to work on just one thing for a while and just kind of really let it, you know, just kind of come out. And that really felt nice.
Okay.
But after that kind of felt it, I'm like, man, I really miss being in the shop. And I can't really tell you what it was exactly because the whole shop was closed down. You know, they were literally patrolling the streets in where I was living.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
some people had it better than others. We definitely just
kind of went for it.
Yeah, we were able to.
Yeah.
Riverside didn't care.
Yeah.
They were like, we can't tell you to close. We're like, okay, cool.
Yeah. And
wear a mask, all right.
I like being alone a lot of the time. I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome. Like
there were a lot of people who I feel like that, like, enjoyed it because they were like, oh, God, yeah, I don't have to go to work. I don't have to dress up. I don't have to put on this facade every day.
Absolutely. But, like, you know, I was fine for that month. And then me and my wife were going through the bank. And she's driving, you know, putting the money in. And I'm just on my phone. And just this dumb little tattoo meme thing came up of someone pretending they were in the shop, and then they woke up from a dream, and they were in their house watching Tiger King. I think it was Andrew Stortz that did it. You know, and he said like, "Man, I was really slinging it in the shop, buzz buzz." You know, it was just something so dumb. You know, just like we all kind of laugh at whatever.
Yeah.
But I like laughed at it, and then I just started bawling in the car. I just started crying and I couldn't stop, full-blown panic attack, and I realized that I was blocking how much I missed being in the shop, talking shit, setting up, doing a tat, breaking down, the whole cadence of it. I love all of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I would rather be arrested. I'm going back to the shop tomorrow. I'm taking appointments. So we started opening up at 7 a.m. and we'd close when it got dark out. Because we have the tinted windows. And we closed that gate on the top. Okay. And that's how we did it. Gotcha. You know, and I'm like, I'm going back to work. If I get arrested, I get arrested. Yeah. You know, and, you know, that was a really dope time. I was able to hang out with some cool people that I never got the chance because the shop was so, you know, we were open till 10 every night. Yep. You know, and it really got me to see some cool people and hang out with some cool people. But once lockdown was kind of over, it kind of felt like summer camp was over at that point. Yep. Like, it's time to be back in the shop. It's time to work that hard again. And
I took a month off and then came back and I was like, yes. I was ready. Yeah. Excited. Yeah. And,
you probably did one of your favorite tattoos right when that happened, too. Like, you were just locked in.
Well, people were ready to get stuff because they had free money.
Exactly.
Quotes, free money. We're all paying for it now with inflation. But, I worked on so many sleeves and backs and, like, big projects because people had the time and the money to do it. It was great. I mean, but that also created this false sense of, like, oh, tattooing's like this now.
Oh, of course.
And it's not. Because, like, you know, slow season used to start right when back to school goes. Back to school? Oh, you better tighten them freaking belt straps, bud, because... you know, tattoos get a little less and a little less every month from there on out until you hit like January and you got, Christmas money. Yeah. You know? But people forgot about that. And all these kids don't know about that. So now everybody's freaking out. Oh my God, it's so slow. It's like, no, this is what tattooing used to be. Yeah. You used to get a walk-in or two a day if you were real lucky. Phone would ring once or twice. Not constantly.
I really hated it for a while when people come in, you know, and they would just be on their phone and complain about how slow it is in the shop. That really bugged me. And I'm like, do you realize we're practically fishing every day for the rest of our lives? Yeah. Draw something, hang out. Like, why are you bummed out? We get to do this. Like...
Yeah, shoot guns, get an RC car, run it around the shop.
You know, we have so much freedom.
We used to have so much fun.
Like, who cares it's slow right now? Have some fun, you know, hang out with us, watch a movie, you know, like...
Well, and I look at it this way. I've always said this to people. I'm like, has tattooing ever failed you?
I think tattooing has always put exactly what you put into it.
Yeah.
And it's because they failed tattooing.
Well, yeah, for sure. But tattooing's never failed me. It's given me gray hairs, it's given me heart attacks, and it's paid bills a week or two late, but it's always came through and gotten the job done.
Of course.
It's never not provided.
Yeah, because you put exactly what you need to into it. There's a lot of people who don't mind leaving the shop at 3.
Yeah.
But then they complain that they have no money.
Yeah, well, I'm slow. I wonder why. Nobody gets off work until like 5, 6, 7, 8. What are you doing?
Or draw something, post it.
Yeah.
Hang it up in your booth. Like, people respond to that.
Well, also take some marketing courses. Get on YouTube. YouTube University. Start learning how to promote yourself. Start reading books about how to promote yourself. Start learning how to game the system. Because those are the kids that are going to be busy in 10 years.
For me, the only
sorry to cut you
No,
off.
you're
There's
good.
an arms race right now in tattooing.
Yeah.
And all these old timers are getting left behind, man. They got these old, I got an M1. These motherfuckers got miniguns, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're just so much further along. They're so much more advanced. It's like War of World War I versus right now. We got Raptors and all these crazy things. We got drones and
warthogs.
Yeah, everything. Like, it's not even the same.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of where we're at in tattooing. There's these people who are like, yeah, I'm good enough. I showed up. I can draw. I've been tattooing for 20 years, so you should just want to get tattooed by me. And it's like, they don't know who the fuck you are because their attention is on the phone. They're right here. They're dialed in, and they're on all the apps, and they're on all these things. And all these kids that can't tattoo for shit or barely can tattoo or, killing it, busy as shit because they understand how to use that tool that's called 100%.
Phone.
And I feel like that gap is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. I see all these shops that are like, oh, we're slow. And it's like, do you advertise? No. You should start paying for ads now because you need to get your shoe in the game. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like buying a stock. The earlier you get in, the more you can make.
Oh, definitely.
If you don't get in early on this right now, then you're going to get left behind,
Of course.
Learn marketing. Learn how to use social media to your advantage. It's a free fucking tool.
It's just a whole other job, too.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
Once again, you have to wear many hats to be a tattooer.
Yeah, you have to have a lot. I think the one thing that's helped me out a lot is that I do my best to be nice. And not just that, I feel like I'm genuinely excited. Like, I don't care if I come off like a fucking nerd. Like, there's some things I see that I'm just like, that's so fucking sick. Right. Like, it's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And
that bleeds through in your work and how you treat people.
Exactly. And those people like coming back. Yeah, because they're like, holy shit, this guy's more excited on my tattoo than I am. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like, people really respond to people who,
especially right now, because everything's so antisocial.
Exactly.
The world has become, because of COVID mostly, and also it was heading in that direction anyways with social media and everything the way it is, and at-home grocery delivery. Like, oh, I don't want to go get groceries. Like, really? Like, you might meet some clients that way, stupid.
Oh,
hey, cool tattoo, bro. Who did that? Oh, cool. Yeah, okay. Where do you get your tattoos? Oh, you don't have a shop? Oh, well, here's a card.
People lost the art of passing out cards.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm a part of the problem. I remember last time I had cards. Just because, COVID happened, like we were talking about. Yeah. But, like...
When you're busy, you didn't need them.
Yeah, exactly. I was tattooing all the time. I'm still tattooing all the time. Like, I'm so lucky that I was busy during Christmas.
Well, here's the other thing. You stayed put. You didn't bounce around.
And that's the whole other thing that I just never really got to. Like, everyone who just jumps around, like, too much.
People don't follow you, man.
Yeah, they don't.
When I moved here from Redlands, I had people, oh, man, I will never get tattooed by anybody else. I love the way you work. I love how you treat me, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm in Temecula, and they're like, I'm not coming to you. I'm finding somebody else. I'm like, it's an hour drive, bro. I thought I was so amazing, You'd be surprised. You bounce around, even if it's across town. At some point in time, people get sick of following you. They want consistency.
I think it's even worse than that. Like, there was a while that, me and my wife have 2 cars, and we would switch a car. And then my guys would be like, I didn't see your car out front of the shop, so I just didn't stop in.
Oh, man.
So if I didn't have this specific car facing towards the street, people didn't know that I was there.
Okay.
And so people, like, they would be like, I was nervous. Like, I didn't see your car out there. I didn't know if you could be in today. So, like, it's not only are you didn't move around, they will just wait on that.
People are creatures of habit, for sure.
Yeah. So I make sure my car is always facing out towards the street.
I know. I've delivered supplies many times. I remember exactly how and where you parked.
Yeah, and like they know.
It was always the same. Yeah.
They know, and I think that's a very important part that I've learned from like older tattooers who always had the big sticker on the back and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Like people really respond
to that consistency and seeing the same thing every day.
Yep.
Like, they may not be coming into your shop every day, but they're like, oh, Spike's still right there doing tats, especially right there with the freeway for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could see your car, they could see your truck and go, there he is.
Yeah. Hopefully, slowly but surely, we're building it. I guess one last question is like, tattooers are full of stories.
Yeah.
Shops are crazy places. What's the best or craziest or funniest or like what's the best story you got out of tattooing so far?
Oh my gosh.
Like client or a situation, and it could be anything. It doesn't, and obviously we don't want to incriminate nobody. Because lots of people do open up about less than legal stuff, or we're therapists, right? So
like me personally tattooing, or just in general.
It could be just in general, but it's more interesting when it's personal. But if you got a really good one that didn't happen to you, but whatever.
Oh man, it's hard to think because there's just think about all the questions you've gotten over the years. That's kind of like that. Like there's just so many different genres, and like that spot's so wild and like
right.
It's too insane just to think of one thing. But
but like which one sticks out? Like if you had a go-to, like everybody's got a go-to joke, right? Or a go-to. Sometimes we have just default answers for certain things or whatever because we get asked the same question so often. But like, I don't know, like what's a fun, like if somebody, like say a family member or somebody asks you, oh, like how's it working in a tattoo shop? Or
man, okay, I have one that's pretty good. It kind of starts at the beginning of our conversation too. So this guy comes in with like a backpack, and he had shorts on. He had a Blood for Blood hardcore band tattoo on his shin. Okay. And I don't know if you know much about this band, but they're known to be very violent, very outcasty, just very blue collar, almost like below lower class. Like that's the vibe of the band. And like I have the tattoo on my foot too. Like it's very much just like fuck society, fuck everything else. Okay. And so when I saw this tattoo, I'm like, you're a cool motherfucker. I got the same thing. It's just that, when you see a guy wearing a Slayer shirt and you want to yell Slayer, that's how it felt.
Slayer rules.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So this guy comes in and he's like, hey, I'm selling temporary tattoos. Like, and I'm like, are you talking about the ones like in the pizza shop with the panther and the tribal? And I'm like, fuck yeah, what the fuck you got? I want to see this shit. So like I'm picking out my favorite ones, and we talk for, I don't know, a good hour, just going back and forth. It's like 9-10 o'clock at the shop. Okay. Just normal stuff, whatever. So I buy, $20 worth of stuff, just trying to reach out to him. I know he's down on his luck, just trying to be cool. So I buy my little stack. I still haven't opened them up to this day. I just was being cool, and he was a fun guy.
Yep.
So when you go up the stairs to the shop and you roll the gate back, there's a wall, and you can't really see past that wall until you open up the gate. Right. But there's a whole other side where people can get in. So the next morning, I'm putting the gate up, to get into the shop, and that guy is up against the wall, like trying to hide from the street. So like I turn the corner and I see him like right here. And I was like, what's up, dude? He's like, what's up? And I see like a little like a radio flyer wagon, and it was full of thousands of these temporary tattoos. Just thousands of them, like stacked up, just a bunch of them. He's like, hey man, I know you were into the ones that that we got last night. Do you want to buy more? And I was like, I'm kind of good, man. Like I got the ones I want, He's like, hey, can I like hang out here for a minute? And I'm like, what's up? He's like, I just hit my neighbor in the face with a hammer, and the cops are looking for me. And I was like, you got like 20 minutes, dude. You're fine. He's like, thanks, man. I appreciate you. I'm like, no problem. And that was the last time I saw him. He stayed for, the time that was allotted, but I'll never forget him, He just smashed his fucking neighbor's face with a hammer and decided, this guy needs more temporary tattoos. And
I need some money. I'm on the run.
Exactly. And I don't know where he's at. Don't know if he got locked up. Don't know if he left the state. And I'll never know. But, that's the perfect way to explain that area. And, like, not being rocked by it, just kind of letting it run.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Rialto is definitely a different place.
Yeah, and I love it. That's where tattooing belongs, in my opinion. You want to go to the wrong side of town to get a tattoo.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, there's something to that, and I really hold on to that hard.
There's a mystique to it for sure.
It's the best. You know, I really don't see myself leaving that spot anytime soon. I don't know why I would.
Yeah.
You know, the guys in the shop would be pretty pumped if I started doing conventions, but like, you know, we'll see. But
conventions are fun. Just do the small ones. Stay away from the big 500 plus booth tattooer cons.
Yeah, I'm just
because it's a con.
Yeah,
that's the right word. It's a tat con. Yep, sure is. They're conning you out of your money.
Yeah. But like just being there every day and seeing the weird stuff that walk in through that door makes me very happy.
Right.
You know, that's enough for me, at least for right now. And my wife's pretty happy with the fact that I'm coming home at a certain time every night. And
except for tonight.
That's fine. She understands. No. She gets it.
No. Cool. All right. Well, if somebody sees this and wants to get tattooed by you, what's the best way to go about it?
My Instagram is Misery Gremlin. Okay. MiseryGremlin. I work at Ascendant Tattoo in Rialto, right there on Foothill and Pepper between the Walgreens and the Teepees.
Yeah, look for the Church's Chicken on the corner.
And there's always, if you go in there, you will get a show. You'll get dinner and a show.
I love Churches.
Yeah.
Shout out to Churches.
Yeah. I'm pretty easy to get tattooed by. Books are never closed. Don't believe in it.
Books are on shelves.
That's right.
You see that? I think I did the other day where I was like, my books are on shelves, but I'm always open.
That's awesome. I love that.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Man, that's perfect.
Any last thing, any shout outs you want to give or
big shout out to Paragon Tattoo. Big shout out to Julius Fargas, particularly. Big shout out to Kale Leo Grandi at Utsi Tattoo Company in Redlands. Shout out to Sean Worcott for doing everything.
For being our grandpa.
Please sell me a painting.
I know, right?
I was in your DMs. I still want one.
I've been trying for years.
You know, that would be great if you could. Understand if you don't. Man. Trying to think too much else, but you know.
Okay.
I have too many people to thank.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
I'm gonna start shouting out people in Texas and New York, and you know, just being
right, yeah, being that guy.
But you know, the local people, I like being around tattooers that enjoy tattooing every day, and not necessarily being the big influencer type of guy.
Right.
And Kale and Julius are the perfect.
Oh yeah.
Perfect monikers for that.
People within the industry know who they are. People outside of it, if they don't collect, you know, like, oh, who's that? You know, like they wouldn't know. You know, they're not trying to be on TV. They're not trying to,
No, they care about being a good tattooer.
Yep.
And
they care about the craft. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Well, they're influencing lots of people, you know.
Absolutely.
Yep. By doing that. Yep.
Yeah.
So via that, they are making tattooing a better place, which is what we're all here to do.
Oh my gosh.
To do. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any last things you want to say? You got a good quote? Anything to end on?
Man. I don't know. I don't even know what time it is. It's like 3 a.m, I swear, or something like that.
It's coming up on 2.
Oh, it is? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
sorry, I was tattooing all day today.
It's not terrible. Yeah. Likewise.
Just thank you to anyone who wants to come in and get tattooed by me. I'm there Tuesday through Saturday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Wichael. Appreciate it.
I thank you, Spike. Yeah. I really appreciate it, and I respect everything you've done for me and my career, and you've done a lot for it. Without you, I wouldn't be connected to a lot of these people, and I say your name from the highest mountaintop as much as I can. Wow. And
I'm glad the camera's not pointed at me because I'm start blushing over here.
No, I really mean it. I look at you very strongly, and I hope to be a tattooer like you, honestly.
Well, I appreciate it.
That's not fake.
I hope you're better than me.
The guys in the shop feel this. They know I feel this way, and I'm very thankful that you know.
I'm thankful too because without the next generation of people caring about this craft that we all love, it's not gonna go anywhere. It's gonna go away.
You've watched me be saying the dumbest tatter tot bullshit. and became like my Buddha and let me go through these horrible things that I've said and grow. And I really appreciate that. You've been nothing but guidance for me.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. It's the least I can do. Trust that people did the same for me.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to give it back.
Yeah.
Just trying to pass it on to the next.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Tag, you're it, right?
You, Kale, Julius, those are the three most important people to me in the IE. To be named in that group is quite an honor in itself, trust. But I don't take that lightly. So. Yeah. Tattooing's the greatest thing that's happened to me. I love it so much, and I like being around people who love it just as much. Awesome. Well, let's end it right there. That's the perfect way to end it. Have a great night, everybody, and we'll see you on the next one.